What's up YouTube, Dal here from Zephyr War Games, and today I am bringing you again, as requested, branded Cyber Dragon. Now this deck actually has a lot of synergy. It is a much more minimal branded engine, or basically you just play 3 branded fusion for the deck with the 2 Albaz, because you don't need or you don't want to be using your normal summon on stuff like Alubas, so you don't play the Despia package. Massive shout out to Joe on this one, who kind of helped me and provided me with a skeleton to build off of, and I've kind of gone with a pure all-out go second board, and again, quite like the invoked engine, I've tried to keep it as cheap as possible. If you do have the money card upgrades in the form of Fusion Destiny and the DPE package, alongside for Bill and Droplets, then by all means, please put them in. With all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more upcoming content. I'll also show you the 1 card combo at the end of why this deck synergizes well with branded fusion. So, starting off with the monsters, I've gone with triple Cyber Dragon. It's probably one of the best cards you can have if you're going to go all out, go second. If you wanted to balance this deck out or you wanted to go first, an option that Joe puts in his build is he plays 1 Shadow Beast, because the branded fusion can then give him a Winderlock turn 1 as well. We've then got the most important normal summon of the deck, and that is triple Cyber Dragon Core. The reason this is the most important is this is basically getting you into your Chimera, which can then give you into your Power Bond, which will then give you the ability to banish from the graveyard, and that then gives you the ability to get into one of your fusion boss monsters a lot quicker and a lot sooner. So you still have OTK routes through Cyber Dragon, but you also have OTK routes through the branded as well. You've then got double Cyber Dragon Hers. Now this is part of the 1 card combo, because when this is sent to the graveyard, you can then use this effect to add a Cyber Dragon. So you'll either add itself, but you want to be adding a Cyber Dragon from the deck to the hand. And then you use that plus this as fusion material to give you a 2 material Rampage Dragon as well. We've then gone with double Chimera. Now, with the Chimera, it does clash with a couple of cards in your deck, so you've got to be very, very careful on this. Yes, this is one of your best routes to OTK, but in its place, you've got Super Poly. Now, the reason it clashes with this is when you use Chimera, it does say that you can only use Machine and Dragons as fusion material for this turn, which is why it will clash with the Fusion Destiny, and it also clashes with Super Poly, because unless you're going to use specifically Dragons or machines on your opponent's side of the field, you're not going to be able to use its effect. So the only reason you would do that is if Super Poly becomes a better, more consistent board breaker for you than a route to Chimera. Like I said, with the idea behind this deck is you don't really worry too much about Ash. Like, you play a lot of 1 cards that will search, so 1 Ash you don't really worry about. And you've got the ability with stuff like Super Poly, if you were to use Chimera and an opponent's Dragon Monster or anything like that, to slightly dodge around certain Imperms and Veilers, etc. But it is entirely up to you. I was talking to Joe about this. The options for going second are like Kaijus, Lightning Storms, and the reason that I didn't go with Lightning Storms was the pure fact is that your opponent can pretty much, if they've got a branded opening in the graveyard, they protect their fusion monsters. And what you really want to do in this current game, when you look at it, your opponent doesn't actually have a lot of protection from board like wipes. So I did consider the Kaiju Slumber as well. So something to look into. I just feel that Super Poly is the best kind of card that can be set and break a board. It can also be used to top deck and break a board as well, which is really important. Then massive shout out to Joe on this, because this is incredible spice. We've got the 1 Eldritch the Golden Lord and the 1 Gizmek Orochi. Now the reason that these are so good is that, again, off of branded fusion you can send either one of these to the graveyard. As long as you've got a spell, Golden Lord can send it and summon itself back as a 3500 beta, so you're trying to increase the consistency of your OTK play. The same can be said for Gizmet, whether you discard it from the hand with Lubellion or whether you send it with Branded Fusion to make Lubellion. Again, it is a free monster that just banishes to bring itself back onto the board as a 2450 beta. Now, we've already kind of established that with Branded Fusion, it is a 1 card play to get you into an Albion plus a Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. But off the back of that as well, if you were to open up stuff like the ability to get to Chimera, or the ability that you'd already opened up 2 Cyber Dragon cards already, then you actually have the ability to send Golden Lord instead, or send Gizmek, and it just adds another power boss monster to your end board to help consist the OTK. Then, of course, we've got the double Fawn of Albaz. You could arguably play 1, but again, you want to maintain your advantage where at all possible. Because you're going for an OTK, you don't really worry too much about the grind game. It's more about just pretty much going all out to the wall and then going from there. So then carrying on, we move into the hand traps. Now again, you can play this deck completely differently. You can go with hand traps, or you can go with a build that pretty much says, I don't care what you do during your turn, I'm going to break it regardless. So for the hand trap, it's got triple Ash Blossom. Again, depending on what you want to try and stop with this, is you can wait for a Fusion Destiny, which I think is going to be more damaging. I think the best target to Ash Blossom is their Mirror Jade. When they use Mirror Jade's effect and send Albion as cost, you then Ash the Albion in the graveyard, because then it means they've lost their Mirror Jade and they don't get branded in red, which is really important. Speaking of branding in red, 2 Ghost Spells specifically for that branding in red, but it can also be quite good in the Tri-Brigade matchup as well to stop the trap card as well. So the idea behind this is they usually end with a Appaloosa. So you special summon down Cyber Dragon Appaloosa into Mega Fleet, and then you've got no worries that Bell will resolve in order to stop their revolt from going off and giving them a Shirag. We then finish off with 2 Nibiru. It was kind of like a last minute change. I was like, you know, at the end of the day, not a lot of people are expecting Nibiru game 1. And then off the back of that as well, because your opponent goes so far into their place because they don't fear Nibiru, a Nibiru can wipe out a board, and then all it will really leave them on if they do get to a DPE is they'll end on a DPE coming back during the standby phase. So entirely up to you on that one there. The hand traps, as you can see, we've kind of adapted. The only other hand trap, or I'm kind of counting it as an honorary hand trap, is double Forbidden Chalice. And the reason I went with this is because, again, a lot of players will try to play around an imperm, and they'll be like, right, okay, well, I'll wait to activate the effect when my opponent puts a card on the board, so I don't need to worry about it. Whereas Chalice just pretty much goes, you know what, I don't need to worry about that, I'm going to do it anyway. It can also be very, very good against the Chimera if they don't put a Poly in the graveyard as well. And it does give you that ability that sometimes during a damage step you can actually activate this on your own card and then boost its attack a little bit more as well. So it has multiple situations, and the reason I treat it more as a hand trap is rather than dropping it during my opponent's turn, I'll be dropping it during my turn. But it's just something that, you know, it allows me to still negate something. It lets my opponent burn an effect. Alternatively, if you have droplets, then you put droplets in here instead of these, because you're pretty much just going to go activate something, your opponent chains to use the effect, you chain droplets, send in the card you've just activated in order to get rid of it. Carrying on, of course, triple branded fusion. I'll show you the 1-card combo at the end. This is so good. Like sending an Albaz and then a Hers, or sending Golden Lord, sending Gizmet. It just gives you so much advantage. Ideally, the main play is to send a Cyber Dragon, ideally Hers if you haven't got one in hand. And then that will then ultimately lead you to using Albion's effect to banish from the graveyard and bring out your Rampage. Triple Emergency basically counts as your 4, 5, and 6 copies of Cyber Dragon Core as well. Can also be a Cyber Dragon should you already open up Core and your opponent's got a monster in the extra monster zone or machines. Summon it down, make a Mega Fleet, make a Rampage, you're good to go. Double Realm. Now, arguably, I'd probably value Realm over Chimera for the pure fact that with Realm, what it does is it actually gives you the ability that it's a continuous spell that can be sent with Golden Lord. So this one obviously gives you an additional normal summon. When it's activated, you add a Cyber Darts. There's another card that basically says Ash Me. So if you do this before your branded fusion, you've still got plays to make. And then it gives you the additional normal of the Cyber Dark. So again, that kind of baits out Imperms, Ashes, Veilers, because your opponent, you're going to try and trigger the effect of Chimera to search a Power Bond, and your opponent's going to be like, I don't really want that to happen. And you can kind of move from there. So it does give you a lot to play around with as well. So that's probably why I'd value it, is for the pure fact that it's a spell that can be sent off of Golden Lord. Double Super Poly. Now again, this is questionable for the pure fact that it's a board breaker, but it clashes with Chimera. If you don't want to clash with Chimera, you can probably put in like 2 Kaijus, you can put in droplets. You've got a bit to flex around with. If you wanted to, they can be Raigekis, or they can of course be Interrupted Kaiju Slumbers, but then you'd find space for the Kaijus. 2 Power Bonds, because you know you don't mind actually opening one up, because it's not a hard once per turn, and off the back of that as well, if you open up one, the Chimera combo's dead, and the reason you want to get to Chimera is so that you can use Power Bond to banish from the graveyard instead. You could use Overload Fusion, but that means you're only going to get a Dark Machine, whereas I think with Power Bond, it just gives you that ability to give you such an insane power monster. Like, activating this just to give yourself a Rampage Dragon is straight away going to be a 42 attacking twice, and that is going to lead you to game. Double Talents. So talents can be a 1-for-1 trade. So if your opponent activates anything, if they activate an Ash and you're like, yeah, well, I don't really care, I've got a lot to do, you can either draw to get into your one card power plays, or of course you can use it to steal one of your opponent's monsters, or you can use it to try and rip a hand trap out. So if they've already used an Ash, you can rip their hand for an Imperm Vader or anything like that. So very, very important. And then the last 3 cards we play is the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster with a red reboot. Now the reason I went with these is I just feel that they're out and out board row, back row outers. You can go for Twin Twisters, and if you feel like your local environment is not going to be playing a lot of back row, like they're only going to be playing Brandon in red, or they're only going to be playing like 1 or 2 cards that aren't pure floodgates, then the card I would actually advise putting in here would be Mystic Mine. And what I love about that is as long as your opponent puts more than 1 monster on the board or more than 2 monsters on the board, you can actually play under Mystic Mine, which is really, really cool. But again, they're very situational. It's 2 flex spots, so you can maximize any of these cards to 3 if you want to as well. This is just to show you options. And the last card is I'm actually playing the 1 Retribution, and then the reason I said, or the reason I went with this is because I'm going second, I'm actually going to, if I go to Mate Mirror Jade, so for example, let's say I've got Branded Opening, plus I've got a Route to Chimera that is going to be protected, whether it be through core or anything else. The idea behind this is you'd actually go into a Mirror Jade, and then you can use Mirror Jade's effect to send Albion from the grave. Now, obviously, from the extra deck to the grave. Now, you're not going to use it or banish the Albion, you're going to keep it in the graveyard. But the way it would work is if you can't OTK that turn, and the only reason you would activate Mirror Jade is to get to game that turn, is you can actually then use Albion to set the Retribution, whereas the only other target you'd search with Albion would be the Branded Fusion. Whereas why not just search out a Retribution, activate it during your opponent's turn, and then banish it during your turn to add back a Branded Fusion. So you're still getting the same outcome, you just get an additional negate in play as well. And like I said, this is only going to be useful if you can't get the OTK off, or if your opponent has like judgmented or stopped the Branded Fusion, like negate its activation. You can then, if you open up your Branded Retribution, you can then also discard it, banish it, and then bring back the Branded Fusion and activate it again that turn because the activation was negated. Moving on to the extra deck, for the Albaz Fusions, we do play 2 Albion. Now, unlike other builds, you're actually going to be making this more times than not, and the reason you do that is because the majority of your Cyber Dragon monsters are lights, and the other best thing about this as well is discard isn't cost. So with the Lubellion, it would be a 2-card combo, whereas with Albion, because you can go Chainlink 1 Albion to fuse, Chainlink 2 Hers to search. Hers would search you the Cyber Dragon, and then use Albion's effect to banish the Cyber Dragon from the hand, and then the core from the Hers from the graveyard, which gives you a 2-material Rampage Dragon. The 1 Mirror Jade and the 1 Lubellion, again, if you've already got Root to a power play, like a power bomb play or anything like that, you go into Mirror Jade, and it still gives you the same effect. The other thing about Albion as well is you can still attack the turn it activates effect, where Lubellion can't. Then for your Super Poly targets, you've got the Starving Venom, the Mud Dragon, and the Dracostapelio. These, again, are interchangeable. If you're not playing Super Poly, you've then got 3 spaces that can become more Cyber Dragon fusion materials, so like an Overload Fusion, not an Overload Fusion. They can become a Cyber End Dragon. You could, if you wanted to, have a backup Infinity should you not lock yourself into fusions. They can become pretty much anything you want. Moving on to the Mat Daddies, of course, Rampage Dragon is the one you're going to go into more times than not and be the easiest one to do, because it requires a minimum of 2 Cyber Dragon monsters, which is why it's really important. The best thing about this as well is it lets you attack up to the number of materials you used as well, which is great because you're going to be able to attack twice. You can target spells and tracks your opponent controls up to the number of fusion materials, so again would be 2, and destroy them. And then once per turn you can send up to 2 Light Machine monsters from your deck to grave, and if you do for each one to send, it gains an additional attack. So what that will then also do is it will also set up your graveyard for a power bomb play as well. So that's why Branded Fusion is so good, because if you open up Branded Fusion and then a wave to Chimera, again, keeping in mind you've got 3 cores that will get you to Chimera, you've got 3 emergency that will get you to core, and then you're just going to ride your route of play that way. You're then going to be able to send 2 more materials, so straight away you're going to be able to make a second Rampage Dragon that can attack twice. So again, you're going to be popping all the back row, you're going to be attacking for 42 here, 42 there. If that doesn't kill the board, you've then got the Albion still attacking in as well. Actually, and the one you use with Power Bomb, sorry, is going to be 42 base. So it's going to be 84 damage off of this one, 42 damage off of this one, 28 damage off of this one. It's 28, isn't it? 25, sorry. I'm kind of going from there. Fortress Dragon is if you put the Kaijus in, of course it's a very easy target, but it can also help if you play up against a machine deck. Twin Dragon, so again, Twin is an alternative option to the Rampage, because this one can then attack twice during each battle phase, and it just gives you that little bit stronger because it's 2800. So you could go for this with the Power Bond, or you can go with this over the Albion play as well. You've got best of both. And the last one is the Mega Fleet. Arguably, you could go for 2 Mega Fleet. It's really for your opponent when they don't expect it or they don't have a choice but to put a card into the extra monster zone. Summoning down a Cyber Dragon, unless they then respond to the summon, you then go, cool, fuse, and you get rid of it straight away without activating an effect. We've then got 3 link monsters, the one Verte, the one Seeger, and the one Almirage. For those odd times when you're like, damn, I've opened up a Hers, I've got to get rid of it. Or I've opened up a Core, I want to put it into the graveyard, and I've not got Branded Fusion. You can then go through this to use Branded Fusion. This is where Overload Fusion would then come into play as well. So, again, it really depends on your playstyle. Like I said, with this, I don't really want to be using these. These are just like a backyard. If I absolutely have to, I will. And kind of go from there. So that's it for the deck profile. I'm going to quickly show you the 1-card combo. It's very, very basic. And again, this can adapt depending on what else you have in your hand. So keep that in mind. So this is just to show where the synergy with Branded Fusion comes into play. So you activate the Branded Fusion. Of course, you're going to send a Fallen of Albaz. And of course, you will send a Cyber Dragon Hers. So you're going to send those to the graveyard. You're going to resolve your Branded Fusion. And that is, of course, going to search you out. Well, not search you out, sorry. Summon you out an Albion. You're going to go Albion Chainlink 1, you're going to go Hers Chainlink 2. Hers will then search you out a Cyber Dragon. And then Albion's effect, because it doesn't banish its cost or anything, will then banish a Hers from the graveyard and banish the Cyber Dragon from your hand. And this, of course, will then let you fuse out into a Rampage. You can then use Rampage's effect to send 2 more. And pretty much because you don't need to rely on the Cyber Dragons, you can send those. You can send anything you want. Set those up. Let me just double check. Yeah, 2 light machines. You can send anything you want. Set these up, and that's all come from 1 card. That's all from Branded Fusion. So you still, because you're going second, you still got 5 more cards to play with. Those 5 more can be Super Polys to help break the board and make this play more consistent to successfully resolve. It can become a route, and like I've already explained, you've got about 9 routes, if not a little bit more. Let me just confirm this. It's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You've got 10 routes, and if you wanted to, you can bump it up to 11 routes in order to get you into your Cyber Dark Chimera. Keeping in mind as well, if you've already got that route to Power Bond, rather than doing this particular play, your alternative route of play could also be send Albaz. So rather than sending the Cyber Dragon, you send Albaz and you send a Golden Lord. So send a Golden Lord. The only difference is this would need to be a 2-card combo because you'd need a light monster. And actually, no, you don't even need a 2-card combo. You just need a route to get you a spell or trap, which is going to be very easy because, again, you've got 10 ways to do so. Because if you can just set the... You basically want to go Core. Core can get you Realm. Realm can then get you Chimera. Chimera can then get you Power Bond. So I'm just going to open up with Core. Let's just... actually, I'll go the longest route. We'll open up with Emergence. Anyway, so you go Albion. You then banish your Albaz plus your Albion. This will then give you a Mirror Jade. So straight away, you've got 1 form of board removal. You then activate Emergence. Emergence will then get you into your Cyber Dragon Core. You haven't conducted your normal summon, keep that in mind. Where are you? Core. Core's effect will then go off to add you your Cyber Dark Realm. And again, you haven't used this as a material, so it's a worm which doesn't matter. So you activate the Realm. Realm's effect will then go off. You would need a discard on this one actually, so this is where it becomes a 3-card combo, annoyingly, but it is what it is. Where are you? So, Chimera. You can use Chimera's effect. You don't absolutely have to, because if you haven't got the discard, it doesn't matter. But you play a lot of spells and traps anyway, so let's just discard a random spell. This will then give you Power Bond. There we go, so you've added Power Bond. And then you've got your Golden Lord, which will then let you send the realm to the graveyard to summon itself down. Now, obviously at this point, you need to be able to get into a fusion monster. Now, this isn't a Cyber Dragon, annoyingly. Core is, so you just need another Cyber Dragon, and then you get into a Rampage Dragon. So, again, it opens up your hand, but you can kind of see where Lord comes into play if you've got this route. And like I said, it all dictates on what else you have in your hand. Yeah, so anyway, a massive shout out to Joe on this one. Thank you so much for the inspiration behind this. He was the one that pointed me out these combos, and he was the one that included Eldritch the Golden Lord and Gizmek. Yes, they are bricks. I was so close to add in a Blue Eyes White Dragon as an additional brick because, you know, why not? I absolutely love this card at the moment. And the only reason you do that is you activate Branded Fusion, you send Blue Eyes, and the reason you have to send Blue Eyes and not send the like Hexil is, again, because if you go for a Chimera, you can only use machines and dragons, so you need to specifically send Blue Eyes because, you know, it needs Blue Eyes. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. I hope this has given you a couple of options of your own. I love the idea behind it. I think it's incredibly powerful. I think it's incredibly fun. And I can't wait to kind of see how much more Joe can produce with this. And I can't wait to see the Cyber Dark version that I've been sent as well. So that will be on its route or on its way. Anyway, as absolutely always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.